Hello everyone, Jerome here from the Bonsai Supply, and today we're going to work on this Brazilian Raintree. So this Brazilian Raintree is from my personal collection. I have been working on this tree now for a little over 10 years, and I actually grew this entire tree. So I started this from a little pre-bonsai tree. And now it is in the middle of the summer, which is a great time to go ahead and do some maintenance as well as cleanup. So we're going to go ahead and defoliate, remove all the leaves, so that we can get a closer look into the canopy, and we're going to edit the branches. So all the branches that go the wrong direction, meaning inside, down, or up versus outside, all of those have to go. And we also are going to remove all of the thorns. So we're just going to cut the thorns in half, and that's pretty much all that we're going to do today. Maybe adjust a few branches. And of course, defoliating this tree is a really big job, so I'm going to need to ask for some help. So I'm going to ask my wife to take some time out of a busy day to come and help me defoliate. Oh, there you are.
Hi everyone. I'm not happy that I have to help today with this tree, but you know, sacrifices of being married.
Somebody has to help me.
Somebody has to help.
Sorry.
All right, so let's do this.
I thought since yesterday was our anniversary, I thought, you know, this was a great present for you to allow you to come help me defoliate my Raintree.
Oh wow, you're so thoughtful.
It's super easy. You just hold the little leaflet in your hand, and then you just pull all the little leaves off towards you. That's it. There's a little petiole at the end, which you can leave, but if it comes off on some of the branches, it's not a big deal. So I'm going to take you a little closer in, and we're going to see how Mari does with defoliating a Raintree, just so you can see it up close.
But make sure you're careful with the thorns. That's the part I don't like.
That's part of the reason why we defoliated today, and also cut all the thorns in half, just so that they don't get out of hand, because they easily get out of hand.
Yeah.
All right, so you have to be very careful when you pull off the leaves. Don't apply a lot of pressure to your fingers, because once you hit a thorn, it might actually go through your skin. So as I was going soft through here, removing the leaflets, I felt that there was a thorn at the bottom. So I'm just going to cut it in half, as you can see. I'm going to leave about this much. And once this has died back, turned to wood and died back, I'm going to come through again and remove it completely. And then you see in here I have a little knob of a branch that died back. So I'm going to remove all of these things and just clean it up again. Alright, so as you can see, the thorns, they only grow on new growth, and once you cut them in half, they don't come back on old growth. So it's fairly simple. You cut them in half like that, and I recommend that you keep the tips and throw them in a bin separately, because if you walk past this tree barefoot, you're not going to be very happy. Alright, so I started growing this tree when it was a pre-bonsai, and the trunk was probably like this thick, and it was probably like this tall, and I planted it into a concrete like black mixing tub, and of course I drilled some holes for drainage. I used good bonsai soil, and I just let the tree grow uncontrolled for about 5 years before I first started to defoliate and started to train the tree. So this tree was completely grown by me, and it took about maybe close to 11 years now. Yeah, I would say this is its 11th year in training. This one is the flowering kind, so it does flower, but I don't allow it to flower that much, because I want all the strength to go into the leaves and into developing branches versus developing flowers.
Done.
What?
I'm done.
Have you seen this?
And we're not done.
We're not even close to being finished. Jeez. looks like we finally finished what felt like ages. This was a big job. It looks like I was abandoned. Mari left. I can't blame her. This was a really big job. And this is why we only do this once a year, right? So let me give you a 360 and I'm going to take you in closer and show you exactly how I'm going to improve the branching. Alright, so when I work on this tree, I always like to look at it from the top as well from the bottom. And this branch here is one of those branches that clearly has to go. And the reason why is because it crosses right across this branch here. You see it comes out of here and it crosses right across. So this one, we're going to cut it back to about here. And the reason why we cut it back to here is so that we can leave the tree a little bit of dieback, because this will definitely die back. So always leave a little dieback on a Raintree, and then when it has died back, the next time you come through, you can clean it up. Just like I'm doing here right now. Like this knob over here, this has died back, so now I can come and clean it up. Alright, so this area in here is very congested, and this is why we come in here and defoliate this tree once a year, so that we can clean this congestion up. So as you can see, this branch right here crosses over this other branch, and this first branch here is a lot more interesting than this branch here. So this is a no-brainer. I'm going to remove this branch. And then as you can see at the same time, this branch here that was crossing is coming right out of the curve here. So if I would leave this branch, and as this branch starts to thicken up, I would lose the shape here in this branch. So I have to remove this one as well. And this is how I was able to create this tree with this much movement by just clip and grow and just trimming it back every time I defoliate it. And now that this congestion, I see here I have another congestion where this branch here grows into this branch here in the front. And the branch in the front is a lot more interesting than this branch here in the back. So once again, I'm going to cut out this entire branch. And now I clean it up. Alright, so sometimes I like to look at the branches from the bottom too, and I can see that this branch clearly does not fit into the picture of the branches here. So when you look at the branches, they all have a lot of movement and they grow out, versus this one grows straight across into the other branch. So what I can do, well, this branch actually comes out of the bottom and it's thickening up quite a bit. So I'm just going to cut it back to here and let this die back and then clean it up some more. Section where I need to do some major changes. So these two branches, this one and this one, they collide right here. And even if I were to unwrap it, they would just get tied up again. So I have to decide on which branch I want to remove, this one or this one, right? So I'm going to remove this one because this one has a lot more natural movement and it splits into two up here. So by removing this branch here, I'm going to do it right now. Here we go. See, I removed this big branch, but there's not a big change in here that happened. I didn't lose a lot of power just now. I kind of just gave a little more to this area by removing this congested branch. And now I'm going to go through the entire tree and just continue the same strategy and just remove everything that grows into other branches, crosses over, goes back into the tree, or grows straight down, or really everything that's just uninteresting. Alright, so the way that the clip and grow technique works, which is actually one of my favorite techniques. So once your main branches are in place, and I usually use guide wires and I wire the main branches into place, but after that I just use the clip and grow technique. And so pretty much what that is I let the branches grow out, and they grow out long and straight, and then I cut them back to where the movement stops. So meaning, if I have a branch that has a lot of movement and then the shoot just goes straight, I cut it back to where the movement stops. So from here to here is pretty straight, right? So I will cut it back to here and then regrow and go after new growth. And if you do this continuously over the term of several years, like this one, over 10 years, you get a very natural look to your tree. And the branches move a lot more natural, which you cannot achieve this look with wiring your branches. So this is Mother Nature and you together letting them grow out, trimming them back, growing out, trimming them back. And so the downside of this technique is that your tree doesn't look like a nice bonsai right away. It takes a lot more time, but once it gets to this stage, it's going to look incredible, right? So that's why this takes a little bit more time, but at the same time, the results just speak for themselves. Alright, so I did a few things. I removed the old layer of soil, and I just checked the base of the tree just to make sure that there's no rotten areas that I might have to address. I also made sure that the surface was evenly dry below the first layer of soil, just to make sure that the tree dries up evenly. And so I coated it with a fresh layer of our all-purpose soil mixture. In the back here, I added some guide wires. And the guide wire's job is just to bring the branches down and to keep them in place. Because right now the back branches, they are floating up too far. So I just brought them back down, which stops them from floating back up again. And as you can see, the clip and grow technique is a really great technique, especially for someone that doesn't like to wire too much. It's a very easy approach to develop your trees really nicely and fast. And so I actually just recently put together a crash course on Raintree where I explain tips and tricks such as clip and grow. And I also have a monthly study group now on these species, so go ahead and check it out. I'm going to leave the link below in the description. And this was pretty much it for today. I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. Please make sure that you comment below and let me know if I did a great job today and what you think of this Raintree. And also subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time.